costs $30,000 a year to imprison a person. Makes no sense to spend that money to keep shoplifters in prison for life.
And believe it or not, they get free medical care until they die.
And it's estimated that people over 55 in prison are costing the taxpayer between $50,000 and $75,000 a year. And since the average age of these three strikers are 36, means that there's a lot of them that will be going into that category of the elderly that will be in our prisons.
As they age in prison, they require more and more medical attention. They become geriatric, and the state pays a lot of money to take care of them. And the state's not getting a fair return on that investment. That same money that's being spent on housing a geriatric prisoner could be spent on building schools. And if you build better schools, you have smaller classrooms, I can guarantee you the crime rate's going to go down far more than locking up people for 25 to life.
We did an analysis on the fiscal impact of this law, and it showed that thus far, the 10 years worth of defendants locked up on the law either have cost or will cost before they get out $8 billion with a B dollars. And if you just look at the costs for the nonviolent portion of that, it's $4.7 billion. And we used some very conservative numbers when we came up with that. So this is costing an awful lot of money for a state that's really struggling to balance its budget, and it's doing so, generally speaking, on the backs of health care and education, while prisons enjoyed a free ride.
Studies have shown that there really is no efficacy to three strikes, that three strikes doesn't deter crime.
In San Francisco, where they didn't enforce three strikes, they had a bigger crime drop than they had in Los Angeles.
All of the politicians in San Francisco, the mayor, the district attorney, the sheriff, said we don't like three strikes and we're not using it here. So three-strike criminals should have moved to San Francisco to go there and commit their crimes. What happened instead is that San Francisco in that decade has enjoyed some of the best declines in crime of any county in the state. And you know, it really gives the lie to the deterrence argument.
We have all these states that never passed three strikes that had the same dip in crime that we did in California.
25 states have done this, which means 25 states haven't done this. So you can really take a look at what's happened in California and what's happened in those other states. We looked at New York, another large state with some major urban areas, and compared their changes in crime to California. So in terms of just prisons, since 1994, when three strikes was passed, New York's incarceration rate actually dropped by 8%. California's went up by 18%, but New York's decline in violent crime was 20% greater than California's was. So if prisons were the answer to crime that many people who are proponents of three strikes say they are, then California should have mightily outshone New York from a crime control standpoint, and it hasn't.
Someone who commits a strike as a juvenile is always going to have that on their record, forever. And that just seems fundamentally wrong. It just seems fundamentally against the essence of who we are as a people.
This is something horrible. With the system, it's got to change, because the children and the family are the ones that struggle and suffer because of it.
I myself am a victim prior to his incarceration. My mother was killed. My uncle was a deputy sheriff who was killed in the line of duty. And now I'm a victim of this three strikes law by losing my husband.
Well, I remember the governor saying that property crime is as serious as violent crime, because if somebody breaks into your home and steals your stereo, that is a shocking thing to have happen to you. Well, I've had my granddaughter kidnapped and murdered, and I've had my stereo stolen. And I'll take the stereo. They can have 100 stereos, 1,000, 1,000,000 stereos. don't equal one child.
I believe there are good people and bad people in here, both. You know, there's a lot of people in here who don't deserve to be locked up for the rest of their life. A lot. You know, there are people in here that are innocent. You know, it happens.
They don't understand why they're so hated by society. They don't understand why people don't have any kind of compassion for them or their situation. They're like, what have we done so terrible that they would take our lives?
You know, these are folks that with a little help could be helped to turn their lives around, and they're not discardable enemies of the state or people whose lives you can throw in a junk heap. That's absolutely wrong. It's bad public policy, but it's bad human decency as well.
I'm a believer in hope, you know, and I believe that, you know, the hope that I have in this life, you know, this three-strike law changing, it's deep, you know. And I also come to, you know, the conclusion, you know, whatever happens, you know, I got to do this, no matter what, you know. I got to do the best I can.
Because a lot of people out there don't know, so I think they need to go out there and get familiar and read up and understand and see what kind of people they're putting away and why they're putting them away for.
I'm hopeful the fact that other states around us are re-examining it will encourage Californians to see that we should re-examine it too.
And I hope that the people get a good understanding of this law and make a change.
On November 2nd, 2004, an initiative to amend the Three Strikes Law was put before the voters of California. Prop 66 would amend the law to allow for a life sentence only if a person is convicted of a third felony that is serious or violent, and would have allowed those previously sentenced to life for nonviolent crimes to have a resentencing hearing before a judge. In early October, 65% of those polled supported Prop 66. During the last week of October, California Governor Arnold Schwarzenegger held rallies throughout the state and contributed more than $2 million to a late-breaking campaign to defeat Prop 66. Former governors Pete Wilson, Jerry Brown, and Gray Davis joined the governor's No on Prop 66 campaign, along with Orange County billionaire Henry Nicholas, who contributed $3.5 million to the effort. Citing misleading statistics, Governor Schwarzenegger claimed repeatedly that if Prop 66 passed, 26,000 dangerous criminals would be released from prison.
Criminals will get out of jails and they will be roaming our streets and our neighborhoods, and then our state will be unsafe once again.
In truth, approximately 4,000 people would have been eligible for resentencing under the amended Three Strikes Law. Early returns on election night showed Prop 66 passing.
We are winning. We're going to take this thing all the way. We're going to win.
By morning, Prop 66 had been defeated with 53% of the vote.